Hey guys, my name is Francisco Hernandez, and today I'm doing another episode in my Building the Shot series going over this image on the screen right here of Miliani. A lot of you guys really liked it when I recently posted it, so I wanted to go ahead and just make this video going over everything I can about how it was created. A lot of you guys asked me if I used the gel for this shot, and my main question to you, and I really want you guys to answer this question because it helps me understand, is why do you think that a gel was used? I did amplify the warm colors and add a little bit of color grading to kind of make it a very warm photo. So is that the reason why you think a gel was used? Because I honestly never ever use gels in my work, and I've said this for a while now, that I need to get better at understanding gels before I use them. But when it comes to like color correction gels, I don't really use those ever. If anything, I'll use like creative color gels, and that's just for different type of like studio work. If I ever do use a gel, I will try my best to put it in the caption to my Instagram posts or make sure to state it in a video going over a photo. I'll do my best to let you guys know exactly what I use all the time, especially if it's something as dramatic as a CTO gel. Before I continue, I do want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community filled with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people alike. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity with Skillshare. Skillshare offers classes designed for real life and all of the circumstances that come with it. These lessons can help you stay inspired, express yourself, and introduce you to a community of millions. There's honestly way too many classes on Skillshare that you guys just need to go on there yourself and check it out. They have classes on photography, cinematography, editing, anything that you can think of is probably on there. So you guys just need to go onto Skillshare and check out all the different classes. One class that I was looking into recently is called Videos for Instagram, Tell an Engaging Story in Less Than a Minute by Halise. And the reason why is because if you haven't noticed, Reels are invading Instagram, and there's a lot of videos on Instagram instead of pictures. So I wanted to see if I can make my videos a little bit more interesting with this class. I thought it was really interesting how she used jump cuts as a way to show a passage of time. So I might use that technique myself in my own videos going forward. Skillshare was made to learn, so there's never any ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow where your creativity takes you. And it's not that expensive at all either. At less than $10 a month for an annual subscription, it's honestly not that expensive to just go ahead and check it out. And if you're really interested in trying it out, you guys can use my link in the description area below, because using that link will give you a free trial of Skillshare Premium, and it's only for the first 1,000 of you to use that link. So make sure to use it right away. When you guys support the people that support me like Skillshare with this video, it really helps me out, so definitely check out Skillshare. Now back to the photo of Miliani, I did use the Sony a7R III with the Sigma R35 f1.2 lens. That's the lens that I use whenever I want to take a portrait with a good amount of scene in the shot. And I always use it pretty much wide open at f1.2. And sometimes you guys do ask me how did I get a lot of in focus using that aperture, using f1.2. And if you actually take a good look at the image, especially if you're on Facebook and not viewing just on Instagram, you can zoom in and see that more often than not, if it's not a full body shot where she's standing, then you can see that there's a lot of blur in the shots. The lighting that I used was the Godox AD300 Pro, also known as the Explorer 300 Pro by Adorama, and I modified it with the 34-inch Glow beauty dish. That's the beauty dish that I pretty much used all the time before the new Godox modifiers came out that allow me to use those modifiers with the Godox AD300 Pro without any sort of an adapter. So in case you guys have the 300 Pro, then I definitely recommend getting those new Godox modifiers. Although I do use ND filters a lot, I didn't need one for the shot because I had a lot of power left in my strobe, my Godox AD300 Pro, and I didn't need any more power. I had enough power at even just half power. And the light was at half power, so that's only 150 watts. So in case you guys are wondering, could I have used the Godox AD200? Yeah, you could definitely have used that light, or use something else that, as long as the light has 150 watts, then you could definitely have used that light for this shot that I took of Miliani. Whenever I'm working in very bright conditions and I need to use every single little bit of light in my strobe, that's when I will use ND filters and not use high-speed sync. So now we're here in Lightroom, and I wanted to show you guys the very first shot that I took. Of course, I didn't take many photos at this photo shoot at all, really, because I was actually teaching somebody, but I did take photos of Miliani standing up first. Might as well show you guys those photos real quickly before showing you guys the shots of her sitting down. What I will always do, what I recommend you guys to do, is to always expose for the ambient and then add flash. You guys can see exactly that going on right here. I got the settings for the background how I wanted it, and then I added flash. I took a couple of shots, and then I decided to go ahead and I like this shot here standing And then I ended up taking it behind the scenes. You guys can see an old lady here. And then decided, you know what? I do like this patch of light here on the ground. Let me just see if I can get her fully in that patch of light. And that's exactly what I did with the sitting shot. I wanted to show you guys this behind the scenes first because you guys can clearly see exactly that it's just a crosswalk. The old lady there is crossing over to the next side of the street. So I used that spot there to go ahead and just take the shot of her sitting, which is the very first shot right here. One thing that is crucial to this shot is how bright and dark the shadows and highlights are. One thing that I will always kind of struggle to do is whenever there's a bright background or something very bright in the shot, I'll try to figure out, where do I want to expose the shot? Like, do I want to expose more for the shadowed area, or do I want to expose more for the highlights, the bright areas? And the reason why that's a struggle is because if I exposed more for this shadow area right here, around here to the right, then that would make the sky too bright and overexposed. And if I exposed more for the bright area, the highlighted super bright sky there, then that would make this shadow area too dark. So I always have to aim for a middle ground, and that's pretty much, I think, what we'll all struggle with whenever we have very bright backgrounds going on in our shots. I'm a visual learner, and I think you guys also would learn better visually. So let me go ahead and show you exactly what I was just talking about, how if I exposed more for the dark area, how it would overexpose this sky. So let's go ahead and show you guys. Let's say I raise the exposure of the whole photo 3 stops. You can see that there's definitely a lot more detail in the shadows, but then all that detail in the sky is just completely too bright, overexposed. And let's go back to 0. Let's say I would expose it 1 stop darker. You can definitely see there's much more color and detail in the sky. Actually, let's go 2 stops. Yeah, you can definitely see the sky a lot better than it was before, but now all this area right here around here is just way too dark. So I thought I did my best to kind of expose the shot in the middle ground between that dark area and the bright area. So that's all I meant when I say it's always going to be a struggle to kind of focus and on the exposure that you want in this kind of sticky situation. I know that there's going to be some of you out there who think, well, Sony cameras and mirrorless cameras have a crazy good amount of dynamic range. Why don't you just raise the exposure and then just lower the highlights and raise the shadows? And this never, ever looks good, guys. So I would avoid this look entirely. I think it's just not gonna ever look good. So that's all I'll say about that. And I would just go ahead and just say, avoid this. Avoid lowering the highlights and raising the shadows, because it will never look good. Again, this is a shot with no lighting at all, so you guys can see exactly what the lighting was doing. And now in this shot here, you can see with the light on what the light did. It provided a lot of light to the camera left. You can actually see that the light is in the shot still, but I don't mind having the light really close like this, or even just kind of mildly in the shot, because if the light looks good, then I don't mind. Then I can just take a shot with the light out of the way and then just remove that light in that corner. I can remove the light in post. So I really liked how it looked here. So I didn't move it at all. I just kept it where it was at. And I actually did like the direction as well. So that's not common that I will like everything like in terms of the direction and the distance of the lighting. Sometimes I'll move the light further away. Sometimes I'll get closer. Or sometimes I'll have an idea in mind of how the light would look really cool, and then it end up being not really cool. And I'll go ahead and just adjust it to be the completely opposite side of where I originally put it. Miliani did a great job with the pose and the expression, so I didn't have to do much since I really did like the lighting and the overall framing of the shot. So I just took a couple more shots in terms of kind of just varying the pose of her head. And then I took this shot and then this one, and I was happy with this one, this expression. And so then I just ultimately decided, okay, this is the shot that I really like. So let's go ahead and just, take another shot with the light out of the frame so I could remove it, remove this section of the sky and post, and then the behind the scenes. And you can see that there was nice bright sky behind her. I was being very intentional with placing that nice bright sky right behind her head. I was hiding that bright spot of the sky with her body and her head because otherwise then it would be a little bit too distracting. Be very intentional with where you put that sun by varying your position. Once again, here's the behind the scenes. You guys can see a little bit visually of how it looked like. But again, you guys were curious about how the colors became how they were. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I did in Lightroom, and then show you guys what I did in Photoshop, and then I'll end the video. I'm not sure what happened, but I don't have my edit saved in this shot for this shot. But what I will always do, one thing that's really crucial to my work is raising the colors, amplifying them a lot. So the way that I do that is in the develop module on the very bottom in the calibration section, I'll go to the blue primary saturation slider and I'll raise it to something like to 60 to 80. And I can already tell that the color's a little bit green. Maybe I'll go ahead and raise the temperature slightly. Then I might go to the adjustment brush, K shortcut, and then I'll go to the eyes. You know what? I'm gonna just talk about the color quickly for a second because that's the main thing that I wanted to explain in this video, because the other stuff I always do in my videos. For this shot here, it's very saturated. So if I feel like it's too saturated in the skin, then sometimes I might selectively lower the saturation in the skin, or sometimes what I'll do is for this specific shot, what I feel right now is that I feel like her skin is a little bit too warm. Even though I do like the background's temperature, I feel like her skin is just a little bit too warm. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just get the temperature and I'll just go to something like -25, which is gonna be cooler. And then I'll just paint that selectively like on the skin. And then I'll show you guys before and after. Before and after. Sometimes that's pretty much all I'll do. I'll focus entirely just on the background whenever I'm manipulating the colors in Lightroom and not really focus on the skin at all. Then I'll just adjust the skin after I do like the background. And that's exactly what I did for this shot. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the edits, the other stuff that I did in Photoshop right now. Now we're in Photoshop and I do want to show you guys real quickly the full edit, but I want to focus more on the colors. So I'm just going to kind of just rush through them. Here I removed the octobox. And then allowed the other distractions, did dodge and burn. I manipulated the color of the floors. I think it's just right here. I sampled some of the color, I think over here on this side, and then just painted over here. And then just changed the blending mode to color. And then I raised the shadows a little bit. Saturated everything but skin. You can see that I tried my best to label that. Saturate all but skin. And then I added color to everything. And I'm using, I believe, the selective color adjustment tool in Photoshop. Right there, yellows, reds, nothing to the greens because there's not a lot of greens. I did adjust the blues and the cyans, and I never really adjusted anything else past that. I also adjusted the sky highlights here. It's very, very subtle, but I felt like the sky was a little too pea yellow color, so I adjusted them a little bit to be a little bit away from that. And then I added a little bit of vibrance to just this side here, kind of because I felt like it was more vibrant over here and I wanted to kind of match that. And I did that using, again, the vibrance and saturation. Then I added, what did I do to the white highlights here? I added a little bit of extra shine in her skin by adjusting the whites right there. So that I usually will just apply it to the entire shot, then mask it, and then just paint it on the skin, just for that extra little bit of shine. I have another layer called Pea Sky, because of what I mentioned a second ago about how the sky was a little bit too peak color. And then I added a little bit more color to the floor right there. More than likely, I just sampled over here and just painted it over here and painted it off the legs. And then I added a little bit of contrast and a little bit of noise. And then that ended up with this shot here. And I felt like it was a little too dark, but now I feel like it's just where it needs to be. But here is a little brighter. So before, after. And that's pretty much it. Of course, if you guys have had any other questions about anything that I might have skipped over or just went through fast, then let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the very next video. Bye. Take care.